You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
This is Dare to Be Authentic Talk Radio Show worldwide with relationship coach, life coach, and author Mari Mitchell Porter.
Hi, and welcome to Dare to Be Authentic. I'm Mari Mitchell, and I'm so glad to be here again with you today. I have lots of new exciting things coming up. My guest today is absolutely fantastic. I can't wait for her to come on the show and tell you the things that she's doing, amazing things in pain management. And I just want to give you a couple of announcements about my website, lifecoachmari.com. That's lifecoachmari.com. Go there to check out my Dare to Be Happy community. That's a community you can join to raise your vibration, to create as much joy in your life and bring more and more of what you want into your life. That's new there. And I also opened up the 21 Days to Self-Love. This is a program that I did last year towards the end of the year. And I opened it up, and we'll give it to you. All you have to do is go to the main page and hit under Learn to Love Yourself. Give me your information, and I'll email the program to you. It's 21 days, 21 videos, little short videos. I'm not going to keep you long, that help you to tie into a little bit more self-love each day. And you'll do that 21 days straight, and you'll see what a difference in your life. And I don't want to wait anymore. I need to announce our guest today. I'm so excited to have Elizabeth Kipp. She's a health facilitator, an empowerment coach. She's an EFT tapping and ancestral cleaning practitioner, and she's helping people to step into the power of their own healing. She experiences herself being able to step into the power of her own healing after over 40 years of being in pain. What a story. And she's developed an online website platform where she offers a unique, hopeful, and supportive community for chronic pain patients. And there they can share their stories of struggle and also of triumph over their conditions. Elizabeth, it's lovely to have you. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Mari. I really am honored to be here.
We connected, and I was just blown away by your story because you have such a powerful story. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about how you came to do what you do, become such an empowerment coach for people who suffer from pain.
Well, I have a long history of chronic pain, and I also have a rather persevering personality. So I've been a seeker for a long time, trying to find a solution. I always felt there was a solution, and I just figured I hadn't cast my line out to catch the right fish.
Very good. You know, I love that word that you used, that you persevere, because you did it for a really long time, and what you just spoke about, that you knew there had to be a solution. You didn't give up, and I think that's what makes you so different from other people. You did not give up. You knew there was a solution, even though it took you a long time to get to it.
Well, I have to say that I had a defining moment. I had surgery. I had an accident, hurt my back, and my back became unstable years later, and I had to have surgery. And I had even more pain after the surgery. My doctor said to me one day, he said, "You will be in level 7 out of 10 pain for the rest of your life, and you will need pain medication for the rest of your life." Now, that was a pronounced, and I was trained as a scientist, so I respected the medical opinion.
Right.
But being trained as a scientist was my saving grace, and let me tell you what happened. I cried for 2 weeks straight, 24/7. I was devastated by that prognosis. I couldn't imagine a life like that, and I sat very still with that for 2 weeks. And I cast around looking in the darkness there, looking for the light. I knew there was a light. And that's really a reflection of how strong my connection to my higher power is. Anyway, at the end of 2 weeks, I went through all of the stages of grief except the last one, acceptance. I never accepted that prognosis. Instead of acceptance, I had an epiphany. And the epiphany was this: that man is not a fortune teller. He is operating within a scientific framework, in a paradigm. That's what he knows. But the world and life lives outside of the science paradigm, the science framework. That's where we live. In the scientific world is things that are measurable and knowable. And there's a lot of things, everything that's outside of that is, the universe is all of that. So
right.
I stepped into, in that moment, it was like this massive aha moment. And in that moment, I stepped into the field, the infinite field of possibilities. And I knew that I just needed to keep looking, that I would find an answer. It just took a while.
That's an amazing story. I love the part about, especially the part that you are a scientist. So it seems more likely, I mean, from my perspective, it seems more likely that being a scientist, you would believe the doctor and say, okay, this scientific or medicine proves he's seen the slides, whatever it is, he's seen the x-rays, he's checked it, this is what it is. But that's what amazes me, that you being a scientist, which is so close to medicine, it's the same thing, you were able to step out of that. And you said something there that's so key to me, because you believed your higher power, you were close to your higher power. In fact, you believed your higher power above your doctor. I mean, that's how I see it. You believe that I had one of the things that I looked at when I studied science was, what does it bring to the world and what are its limitations? And since I was like 4 years old, because I remember this, I kept wondering, okay, there's the physical world that everybody talks about, and then there's this spiritual world that everybody talks about, and they don't look connected to me. And they never did. And it was a search that I had to go through on my own, because I would ask people and they would look at me like I was a crazy person, and they couldn't discuss it. So I was like, okay. And it wasn't until I looked at quantum physics that I understood that that's where those two worlds meet, the spiritual world and the physical world, and the scientific world. They meet right there at the nexus between those two worlds. And at the time, back in 1983, when I had this dark moment where I suddenly had a great light shine on me, I had already gone through the mental exercise of what are the limitations of science, and I understood that, like, there's everything out there, but science only understands some of it. So I knew that there were answers outside of science, and that was the beauty of my scientific background, is I understood its limitations. Right. That's fantastic. And, and when you say stepping into a place where there's unlimited potential, I mean, just listening to those words makes me feel excited. Stepping into a place where anything is possible is really what it means. You don't have to go by the laws. I mean, certain science, obviously there's gravity, you break something up, it drops, we fall, but being able to step outside, there's so many things that cannot be explained by science, like you were just saying. And they say, well, it's not explained, you don't know what it is, but it still exists. So, I mean, that's just a beautiful defining moment, and what propelled you to continue with that persistence, because not everybody can be that persistent to continue to believe, to continue that level of faith for that many years. And so my next question is to you, how were you able to hold on knowing, because it was like a knowing inside of you, that this would happen for so long?
Well, I didn't know it was going to happen. I never knew it was going to happen that long. I didn't know. I had no idea that it was going to. I never knew. If I had known, it may have been a different story. I didn't know it was going to last. I didn't know I was going to be on pain medicine and anti-anxiety medicine for 32 years. I had no clue. It was always a matter of, like, how can I make this better? And that right there was part of the problem. and I'll explain that.
Yes, I'm waiting.
So,
and some of the listeners waiting how you made it better. Okay.
So here's the thing. First of all, I'm going to say this. Physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, it's all pain to the brain. It sends a signal, it hurts. It's all the same to the brain. It hurts. So that's important.
Okay.
Another thing is when the body gives us pain signal, it's trying to get our attention. And in our society, certainly my culture, and I'm pretty sure Western culture in general, our reaction to that, and certainly the medical community at large, is to change that. Oh, that's bad. Let's fix that. Let's numb it. Let's avoid it. Let's stuff it down. Let's anything to not face it and deal with it. And that is what I would consider the weak point. That is where we're falling down. That was a pivot point for me. I suffered during all this time. Part of what I suffered from was migraines. I had migraines for 7 years. Not every moment, but they would come and just knock me down. And finally one day, and I'm a long time meditator. Now, it's kind of hard to do all that and be a powerful meditator when you're on medication, but I did it anyway. Right. I did it anyway, to the best of my ability. Anyway, I was really, really at a bottom with the last migraine I had. And I was lying in this dark room with no sound, and I'm curled up in bed as comfortable as I could get. And I had my eyes closed. And again, it was like my higher power came down and said, hey, I heard this voice, and it said, why don't you think about another strategy? Because clearly the ones you've been using are not working. And I was like, well, what would that be? Take a contrary action. I was like, oh, what would that be? And so what that was turning into the pain. Instead of me trying to, avoid it or, I don't want to feel it or resist it or all that stuff, I stopped fighting it and I turned into it. And that was the last migraine I had. I never had a migraine after that. Yeah.
Really? That's amazing.
It's a very powerful tool. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody, but it worked for me in that moment. And I've never had a migraine since, so, knock on wood.
That's amazing. It reminds me of, I had my 3 children naturally. I didn't take any drugs, any pain medication. And, I thought it was great for the baby. It was difficult.
Yes.
But I took Lamaze lessons to do it. And the three deliveries were very different. The delivery with my second child, my daughter, was pretty much pain-free. I don't talk about this very much.
Wow.
And, yes, and one of the things they teach you in Lamaze is to, and that's what reminded me, it says don't fight the pain, just ease into it. Because when you fight it, it hurts more. So
sure.
So I know it can be done. That second delivery was so easy, and to the point where, they have you on the monitors, and the nurse was saying, did you feel that contraction? No. Did you feel that contraction? No. Okay, you felt that one. It's huge. No. I didn't start feeling contractions until after they broke my water. They had to break the water because I hadn't broken it. And then they broke the water. I think I had 3 contractions, and that child was born.
Wow.
It was the most amazing delivery I had ever experienced. Now, going back to my 3rd child, I did not have the same experience, but I got into some kind of zone there that caused that. So I know what you're talking about not fighting the pain. But I've never heard anybody talk about it with this other kind of chronic pain.
Yeah, it wasn't the only tool that I needed, but it was one that worked for me in that situation. I still had back pain and gut pain, but the migraine stopped mercifully, blessedly.
Okay.
Now I went on to go into a treatment center. I found a doctor who had a pain management program in a treatment center, and he helped me detox off the medication, which was more than I was. It was unusual to find a doctor that could do that. I looked around and I couldn't find people that had a track record with fentanyl. So that was important. And 2 weeks after I got off my medication, my back pain went away, gone. Now,
2 weeks after getting off your medication? Is that what you said?
Yes. After 40 years, my back pain disappeared. Now,
wow.
What is that all about? And I'll tell you, some of that had to do with old habits that I had around pain, which I worked on in the pain management program. But the other piece of that is this. It's actually, studies have been done. There are no studies out there that show that opioid pain medication actually helps chronic pain. It helps acute pain. There's studies for that, but not for chronic pain. In my case, and this is actually documented, so I'm just one of these people, in some cases, the pain medicine makes the situation worse. It's called hyperalgesia.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
And that's what happened to me. So when I got off my pain medicine, oh, my God, no more back pain. Now, I had gut pain. I had irritable bowel syndrome, and I suffered for that my whole life. But by the time I walked out of Dr. Peter Prescott's program, 52 days after I walked in, I didn't have gut pain anymore. So I walked out of there pain-free for the first time in my life.
That's amazing. What's amazing is that these medicines would cause pain, and this is not common knowledge. Like you say, there are studies that prove it, but nobody talks about it. I haven't heard anybody talk about it except you. That's really amazing. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back to that. I just want to take a quick break for our sponsor. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. This is Madam Coach Correa, Love and Pillow Talk, WGSN-DB radio show. Join me every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern and learn about love relationships and how they relate to your soulmate.
We're back at Dare to Be Authentic Radio, speaking with special guest Elizabeth Kipp. She's a health facilitator and empowerment coach, and she has been dealing with chronic pain for a large part of her life and is talking about how to get relief from chronic pain even after many years of suffering. So we were just talking about how getting off of the opiate you said that you were on, opiate?
Yes.
Actually took the pain away because these drugs in some people can actually cause pain. So I just want to ask you one question about that particular piece. When the doctor told you that, this doctor that was able to help you, how did you feel? In other words, having been in this pain,
I want to be very clear. I got off my medicines. I was on benzodiazepines and opioids for 32 years. Wow. 2 weeks after I got off of my medications, I didn't have any back pain anymore. Now, the doctor never told me anything. He actually didn't surprise him. I went in and said to myself, what happened? And I went into the literature and found the research that said that this thing called hyperalgesia. And I was like, oh, they can actually cause pain. And I went back and asked him, and he said, yes, that happened. This is documented. Nobody actually said to me, your pain was caused by, we didn't actually do any studies on me. So I'm being very careful here because, I'm being very careful. But that's certainly a conclusion that I fit into that category would be a conclusion.
From your own research.
It's not
right. Okay.
Yeah.
From your own experience, I understand that. It's just that the fact that these things can cause pain and no one talks about it, or says, okay, let's try taking you off of this and see if you're one of those people that have this, would have this effect on.
Right.
It was never considered in those 32 years, so that's kind of surprising to me.
It's fairly new. It's only it only came out in about 2010, so it's fairly new research.
Oh, okay, that is new. Well, that's good that they've been able to research this and come up with more options for people in that, in that chronic pain. So I know that you talk about the power to heal from within, and you talked about feeling into the pain, allowing the pain instead of fighting it. Is there something more that you'd like to share about the power within to heal yourself?
Well, I would. The potential is in there for us to heal. That's just it's how we're made. But when we get a pain signal, as I said before, the body's trying to get your attention. And when we ignore it, one way or another, the signal grows. So what happened with me was I took more and more pain medicine, and yes, I got a tolerance. I built up a tolerance to the pain medicine, but also at the same time, the pain signal was getting bigger and bigger.
Right.
It's important that we actually pay attention to what's going on and not avoid. That's just a really important thing. The other piece that I want to throw in here is chronic pain changes the brain. Addiction also changes the brain. And all those years on medicine, I was addicted. It's all addictive pain medicine. And so are the benzodiazepines are addictive. Anyway, they change the brain similarly, but not exactly the same. So there's an overlap in the way the brain gets changed by those two things, but there are some differences. Here's the thing that's exciting. The good news is this thing called neuroplasticity, which means the brain can change and we can relearn. Right? So I had old behaviors. I had some programs running in me, old behaviors that I had done for years and years and years. And the brain was just used to, this is the way we do this thing. And I had to actually learn new things. And my brain is literally changing. So I'm actually retraining my brain as I move farther into my recovery. I'm actually doing things to retrain my brain. And I'm actually learning how to live a pain-free life. It's a lifestyle.
Amazing.
It's actually a lifestyle that I've had to embrace, which is great. I'm happy to do it, but yeah.
Right. That's fantastic. That's fantastic, Elizabeth. And I know that embracing this has led you to want to help others in just a most powerful way. And you shared with me about this community that you've built. So I'd like for you to share about that.
I looked around on the Internet, and I found a lot of health facilitators or wellness doctors, nurses, all kinds of people in the medical community and even alternative that had various supports for specific diseases and even some around chronic pain. But I did not find an online community of pain patients or chronic pain patients in recovery helping other chronic pain patients. And I wanted to advocate for other chronic pain patients because one of the things that happened to me while I was a chronic pain patient was I ended up advocating for others because I couldn't find anybody to advocate for me. So it's important that we hear each other, and then that our experience gets validated. It's like, otherwise we're so isolated. We're like, get into hopelessness. That's a problem. That's just a negative spiral that's going nowhere but down. So the community is there to, I want people to come in and share their struggles, also their solutions. So that's what that's about. Now, my website is up. I have a private Facebook group. It's called Living Beyond Chronic Pain and in the Moment. And if you instant message me on Facebook, I will add you in. Or you can email me at elizabeth@elizabeth-kipp.com and request that I add you in, and I'll be happy to. And I'd be happy to, take your name from my email list. The site's active, and I do take appointments and through the website now.
Fantastic. So if you're in chronic pain or you know someone who's in chronic pain, just email Elizabeth. It's Elizabeth@elizabeth-kipp.com, and it's ELIZABETH-KIPP.com. Go ahead and email and get in on that. That sounds fantastic, on that group. And then she'll also put you in one community. That's absolutely fabulous, Elizabeth. I think that it's so wonderful that you saw a need for yourself. You saw a need for yourself, and you built it for others. I just think that's absolutely the most beautiful thing I ever heard. So one last thing, we have about a minute left, not much time, but one last thing you'd like to say to a listener who who says, man, I've been in so much pain, and I don't even know if what she says is real? How would you encourage this person?
I'd say this: there's always hope. Don't stop looking. That's just
beautiful.
That's my experience, and that's no lie. I'd like to just add one other thing. There are a lot of people in recovery that also have chronic pain, and people that are recovering from chronic pain, that community is there for them as well. As I said, it's important that we build a lifestyle. Yeah, we have to build a lifestyle. So it's their tools for living is part of what we do there.
Fantastic. And I know that Elizabeth's tagline is finding the light in the darkness. And what a beautiful tagline that is, because you shared, Elizabeth, how you were in that darkness of not knowing how you were going to deal with this or survive with this pain. And now you're kind of a light in the darkness of others. That's how I see it anyway. It's been amazing having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be back at Dare to Be Authentic next week. Looking forward to seeing you then.
Thank you so much.